We're going to take you to a special place in the Buena Park Police Department building, but you're going to have to wait till the end of the show, and you better stick around. This is Crime Watch. Hello and welcome to Crime Watch. I'm Jane Cameron with Sergeant Bill Kohanek of the Buena Park Police Department. Now, you know that we follow a lot of different situations, but it's not too often that we get to give you a little bit more of an update or a follow-up on one of the things that we talked about in an earlier show. And probably one of the most interesting we've done recently is that huge bike theft that was just shut down.
Yeah, it was quite a bike theft ring. There's a lot of victims here in Buena Park who have lost their bicycles, most of whom had not reported it. Maybe because they just assumed a bike like that, how do you ever get it back? But several of them did report it, and we were able to marry up the victim with their recovered bicycle.
So we're out at the general location of where a lot of the bike thefts were occurring?
Yeah, we're in the north end of town. It's kind of a heavily populated part of town. A lot of apartment complexes. It's an older part of the community. Right now we're at the intersection of Franklin and Fullerton. And it is one of the areas where many of the bike thefts have been occurring. If you will remember from last week, just as an update, we had a couple of officers had discovered a residence where some stolen bikes were located at.
Lots, not some.
Yes, there turned out to be over 30 bikes, including now 4 motorcycles and quad runners that were also located at the property. So a significant recovery. The problem is a lot of folks didn't report these bicycles as stolen previously, and we're trying to get an opportunity to match up those victims with their long-lost bicycles.
Well, how would somebody prove that one of the bikes that was found is theirs if they hadn't reported it stolen in the first place?
They would be able to first view the bicycles online. So I'm asking any resident in the north end of our city who has lost a bicycle or had a bicycle stolen from them in the last 6 months, I would suggest you go online. There's an area where they can go and view photographs, colored photographs of all the bicycles. If they see one that belongs to them, they would need to contact the Detective Nian Nguyen, and attempt to recover that bike. They would have to prove ownership of the bicycle somehow, whether in a photograph that maybe they have taken on the bicycle, some way that they can recognize the bike, that maybe some scratches that were in a particular area, perhaps they etched a serial number or their own driver's license number, or they have a record of the serial number that was on the bike. They just have to prove it. They can't see a nice picture of a bike and then claim it without some independent information that shows that the bike is theirs.
Okay, so let me get this straight. They go to the Buena Park Police Department website, which is bppd.com. They click on the link to view the bikes, and they look to see if they can find their bike. Then they find some way to make sure that they can prove it's their bike, and they contact Detective Nguyen. And then the person and the bike are married up again.
They're reunited. Yeah, I would say that if they recognize a bike as theirs, whether or not they reported it stolen, go ahead and contact Detective Nguyen, let him know the information, and then let him determine whether or not they can properly marry that information up as the proper victim.
I would think, too, that the detective is going to get quite a few phone calls. So if they go to voicemail, they should leave a message and be patient and give them a couple of days to get back. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who have missing bikes that may or may not have been in this collection, but they're looking.
Yes, that's true. And in this case, we only want you to call Detective Nguyen if you see the bicycle that's similar to your bicycle or is your bicycle. You're right, it's a very common crime, but some of these bicycles are very expensive, upwards of $1,700 to $2,000, $1,700 to $2,000, some of the more racing or high-performance bicycles. We even saw a bicycle that's a tandem bicycle, which is obviously very unique. There's also some show bikes that have been customized and elongated, and some accessories have been added to it. So if you can prove that that work was done by you, or have some receipts for the work that was done on that bike, I think it's a great way to get your bike back.
What if all the bikes aren't matched up? Do you have any idea what you're going to do with the bikes that go unclaimed?
Yeah, there's a certain time limit that we will store these bikes, and all unclaimed bicycles eventually will get sold at auction. There's an auction in Buena Park located right near the corner of Knott and Orangethorpe. And they have auctions every 3 weeks on a Saturday. And that auction is for vehicles as well as recovered stolen property. And that would be the place if somebody wants to purchase a bicycle from a police department. That would be the opportunity for them.
It's great, though, that people can finally find their bike that they lost. And I would think if it's unique, they have some pictures maybe.
I would agree. A bicycle is somebody's mode of transportation. It was probably an important purchase to them when they got it. They're a victim just like anybody who's lost a car or had their home burglarized. Again, I request anybody in the future, let's learn from this lesson. Write those serial numbers down, the make, model, and serial number of your bicycle. And you can find that on the bottom of the bicycle underneath the pedals. Write that down and keep it somewhere safe. In the event your bicycle is stolen, then you'll be able to report that, and it'll be logged into our stolen vehicle system. So anytime that vehicle is stopped or recovered, we'll call you. You don't have to wait and call us.
But in the meantime, if you want to take a look at those bikes and maybe find your bike, again, you go to the Buena Park Police Department website at www.bppd.com. Now, it's not just a website for finding your bike, but did you know you can actually do online reporting where you don't have to leave your house to go down to the police department and make a report? Well, you can still go to that website and click on the link for the online reporting. In fact, Sergeant Kohanek, you recently spoke to Community Service Aide Michael Smallwood about just exactly what that does, which sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, it's a pretty time-consuming part of our job, both for police officers and for the officers that work at the front counter, like Michael, to take these reports. A lot of folks have had things stolen in the middle of the night, maybe from their yard, their residence, their car was burglarized. But it's not a situation where we can have an officer come out and investigate all of these crimes. But it would be a good idea to have that crime reported. So now here's another opportunity for our residents to report crimes themselves online, or come into the front counter, and we have a kiosk, a terminal there. They can complete it if they don't have their own home computer.
Well, let's go take a look at what CSA Michael Smallwood tells us all about it to make your job and your job easier.
It's very easy, very simple to access the website and the online reporting system. People just have to go to the Buena Park Police Department website, which is at bppd.com, and scroll down. On the right-hand side of the page, there's a link where you can click online reports. You click there, and then it gives you the simple option to choose the report that you want to file, whether it be a hit and run, vehicle burglary, a theft, vandalism, or possibly a hit and run accident.
Are there any reports that citizens shouldn't report online?
The only reports that citizens should not be able to report online is any reports that have suspect information. So it has to do possibly, for an example, spouse abuse. If they know who broke into their vehicle, they personally saw who broke into their vehicle, and they do have any suspect information, they should come into the Buena Park Police Department and speak to a police officer and have the officer take the report.
Okay, so I know in this field we call them cold crimes, and it's because basically it's a crime that occurred and they really don't have any information left about who took it. So that is the type of report that you would recommend that they would file online themselves. Once they file this report, where does the report go? How do they hear back as to whether or not we're working on the case?
The report, after they do finish it online, is submitted to us, all front counter staff, and we actually review the report, make sure that all the needed information is in the report, everything is accurate, everything's inside of involvements, and then we simply approve the report, send it to the sergeant, and then the sergeant then sends the report over to the detective, and the person reporting it should hear soon back from the detective. If there's actually any information that we still need, we need them to add, or it's possibly incomplete or something's incorrect, then we actually send them a message back to their email and simply reject the report for corrections. They make the simple correction and submit it right back to us.
Okay, Michael, it seems like it's pretty self-explanatory. I have a couple follow-up questions for the viewers. What if they've already made a report, say their house had been burglarized, and they discovered more stolen items after the burglary report was already taken? Is there any way they can add that information on?
Certainly. Most of the time the officer will give the victim a case number, and this case number would be simple. They would follow all the same instructions, and it would actually give you the option to choose an original or a supplement report. They would choose the option to take a supplement report, input the original case number that the officer gave them, and just follow the directions from there and just input additional information stolen or any additional information that they might have, and that would simply link it to the original case number.
Okay, very good. Well, I see that we're at the front desk kiosk that's available to our citizens. Can you show us what it would look like for a citizen to come in and start to use the program? Let's say that they wanted to come in and report a burglary to their vehicle. What's the first few steps that they would need to do?
The first step is you're simply going to have this page here that you see in front of me. It'll be as simple as just coming over, clicking on the option Vehicle Burglary, and it'll give you all the options that you have here. We'll obviously click Vehicle Burglary again and just Start Report. After you start report, it gives you the option whether you want to do original, supplemental report. We're obviously going to choose original because it's the first time we're reporting this incident. We'll click Continue. And now it gives you the option if you're reporting this for yourself or for a business. In this case, it would be an individual. And click Continue, and here simply it tells you all the information that's needed, which is the first name, the last name, home address, location the incident occurred, date of birth.
Got it. So there is a lot of additional information that we would need them to fill out about themselves. However, why do you think that this benefits the citizens the most?
Because at times people get out of work late, get home maybe 8 o'clock at night when the police department front counter is already closed, don't have time to come in because they're busy on a busy schedule. This allows citizens of our city to have access from home and be able to do it on a timely manner whenever they do have time. If they do happen to come into the front counter lobby and it's extremely busy, then they have the option of coming over to this kiosk here and being able to do it on their own time and get out of here really quickly.
My guess is that it also might free up front desk personnel to be able to assist the rest of the police department in other matters. Do you agree?
Yes, I totally agree. The only thing that all citizens should remember is that all reports that are reported must be a crime that occurred in the city of Buena Park. It can't be a crime that occurred outside of the city. It must be a crime that occurred within the city jurisdiction, and all those reports can be filed.
Is there any time limit if it occurred maybe a couple months ago, they just hadn't had the chance to report their stolen bicycle yet, something like that?
No, of course not. When doing the report online, it'll ask you for time of occurrence and dates of occurrence, and you just simply put in the date and time that you think the incident or the crime occurred, and that's simply it. There is no time limit to when you can report an incident.
Great. Well, I'm happy to see the system put in place. I know it's freeing both officers up and front desk personnel, and allows an opportunity for citizens to have a few extra options in contacting the police department.
Yes, of course. And if anyone needs any help, whenever they do come into the front desk, we are always willing to help.
I find it in a good way interesting that businesses sometimes need to call the police department about people that are just being disruptive in their place of business.
Yeah, and we just happened to be in the area. So once again, CrimeWatch was first on the scene on this one. This was an incident. Actually, it stemmed from a previous occasion where this woman that we had detained had caused a problem inside of a local McDonald's, and evidently had even, a spit in the restaurant, and used her cane in kind of a threatening manner when she didn't get the service she thought she liked. So tonight was a separate occasion. That kind of activity didn't occur, but the manager still called us out and wanted us to try and detain her and to kick her off the property for good.
So is that something that the police department can do? Say you can never go back there?
Yes, we can. There will be some documentation that we came out. That individual's record will be on file that we did contact her in this scene. However, on the next occasion, McDonald's would have to be the victim, and they'd have to place her under citizen's arrest for trespassing. And that is a case, it's a misdemeanor charge, where somebody has been physically kicked off of a property, been notified, and then still return against the owners and managers' wishes.
Because they have a right to refuse service to anyone.
Yes, they do, especially somebody who's real disruptive and scaring or causing an uncomfortable atmosphere for the other clients. So they would have a right, if we got called back again, to arrest her on a misdemeanor charge.
Interesting. So she gets to have her last meal from McDonald's, evidently.
Yeah, at least from this location. I don't think she'd have a problem somewhere else, but obviously at least there'll be a reminder to her that Buena Park is very active. I guess she was claiming that she lives in a much larger city, where the police wouldn't get this involved. But this is a local community, and we don't mind coming out and helping some of our businesses. For Hotel Lima Sierra 524.
What are we looking at here? Because you've stopped a car.
Yeah, I'm 99% confident that this vehicle did in fact run a red light. So we're reviewing our dashboard camera, and in a moment that light that we are looking at, the signal light, turns green, and you saw a vehicle drive through. So obviously, if our light is green, it would be impossible for this vehicle driver's light to be green. It would be red, and he would have run a red light. So this just gives me a little confirmation that I did see what I believed I saw.
And what's interesting is that the vehicle moved over into a parking lot because Beach Boulevard is pretty busy, and that's okay to do. It's a safe place to pull over.
Yeah, as long as you pull over in a very reasonable amount of time. I wouldn't keep going on looking for a parking lot that you might not know is up there. So you should yield to the right, and if there happens to be a driveway there and it's a busy road, that's no problem. Like you see now, the vehicle pulling into this nearby parking lot. The officer understands that it takes some folks some time to get over.
So the driver probably doesn't know yet, but how much is this ticket running a red light going to cost them?
Well, it's very expensive. The citation is just over $400, close to $500 for a violation of running a red signal. That's for your fines plus penalty assessments that the courts add to citations. I haven't determined for sure or not whether or not this driver is going to get a citation but I think it sure is beneficial that we were able to go back and review the incident again. Officers can't always, might have been distracted. I might have been looking at something that was not in front of me, and this just gave me an opportunity to review this evidence again, and allows me one more piece of the puzzle before I make a determination on whether or not I cite the person.
And is this camera running all the time?
It does run, but it's in a kind of a mode that's off and will be enacted whenever I turn my lights on. In fact, it doesn't just start filming, it goes back 30 seconds. So as you saw when we were sitting in the car quite a while, I hadn't turned on the camera just anticipating a car to run the red, but by me turning on the light bar, it activated the camera 30 seconds prior.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And there you are coming back.
That's me. That's me.
Sergeant Kohanek, we're in the men's locker room, unoccupied, and this looks like something very special.
It is. This is a memorial to the fallen officer Ackerman, who passed away. It's going on about close to 2 months now ago. We lost one of our own here at Buena Park. Officer Ackerman passed away during a SWAT training exercise. He succumbed to some medical injuries that's still being investigated, but it was such a sad loss and a tragic loss for the Buena Park family. So behind us, or behind me, is a tribute that's mostly designed for his partners, the Buena Park PD family. But it's nice an opportunity for our viewers to see what he meant to us.
Well, this is something that I know people normally don't get to see, so it is really special. It looks like there's a plexiglass in front of what would have been a locker at this point.
Yeah, this was Dan's actual locker. This was his locker that he used every day when he came to work, just as every police officer does. You start off your day at your locker preparing for that shift and the unknown that's going to come. This is where Dan stood to get ready for the day.
And so there are these his actual uniforms and boots that are in there?
Yes, this was sealed, time sealed now, for us all to have daily memories of Dan, so that we always remember his legacy and what he offered to us as fellow police officers and to the community of Buena Park. So this is his property. And the family was wonderful enough to go ahead and give that to the police department so we could seal it like this. I can't tell you how nice it is to come into a locker room and see this and remember him in a positive way, and remember what he offered to all of us.
Well, and what reminds me, although I won't see it every day, is the perspective he had on the job and his excitement to be on the SWAT team. And, maybe when your day is being a little bit rough, you can look over here and remember that, he looked forward to the opportunity to be in the Buena Park Police Department. So it sends chills down my spine.
Yeah, he passed away doing what he loves, and we can't forget that. And, he has a beautiful little daughter that he's passed on, that we'll be able to help watch as she grows up and remind her of things like this and other keepsakes that the police officers have collected for her in her journey. And it's a special place and a special memory for all of us.
If you have any questions about tonight's show, you can call the Buena Park Police Department at 562-3901. There's also the Buena Park Police Department website at bppd.com. But did you know you also could go to the City of Buena Park's website at buenapark.com, go to archived videos, and you can take a look at past CrimeWatch shows, including the one that had Officer Ackerman's funeral. It was pretty special, and as you can see, they're still remembering it. With Sergeant Bill Kohanek of the Buena Park Police Department, I'm Jane Cameron. Thanks for watching.